guys, welcome back to the channel, Daughter of Increase. My name is NayDenise for those of you who are new to the channel or who just happened to stumble across this video. And I post the videos every Wednesday and Saturday all about my faith, God, Christ, and expanding the kingdom of God. And I do that through Bible studies, book reviews, discussions, and more. And today's video, as the title says, is going to be my 22 books for 2022. And basically with that, I went through my shelves, looked to see which books that I've had on my shelves for a really long time, or books that I really have been wanting to read in the past 5 years or so, and I wrote them on a list. And I broke it down by having 6 nonfiction books, 8 Christian fiction books, and then 8 biblical fiction. And the reason why I separated Christian fiction from biblical fiction is because within the Christian fiction genre, outside of obviously biblical fiction, I want to read more. And so I love fantasy. We know I definitely got a couple of fantasies on here, but I have some mystery suspenses. I think I have a contemporary romance and historical on here as well. And so yeah, 22 books. We're going to start off with the nonfiction books first. And most of this is not really in a particular order as like in the order I'm going to read, but they're in the order of how it works in my head. So with the nonfiction, I think I have it in order of how long I've been wanting to read them or needed to complete them. And so the first book is one I've been reading now for 3 years. 3 years. 3 years if I'm including the ebook, but if just including the physical copy that I own, then 2 years. So yeah, and that is The Emotionally Healthy Leader by Peter Scazzero. This was actually introduced to me from our previous youth pastor at our ministry. He had urged us all to read this during one of our ministerial retreats, and we had started out reading it and never got a chance to finish it, and so I've been on and off with this book. But I think it is high time that I actually dive into it, and it's really basically a book for leaders within ministry, whether you're a pastor, a minister, an elder, deacon, evangelist, whatever. It's all about being emotionally healthy as a leader, and we know that that's definitely something that we need to learn more about, especially with the pandemic that we are still in. And so I'm excited to finally dive back into this. I have already previously, like I said, read this, so I was doing the quizzes in here a couple of times. You know, I'm trying to find a page that's actually like marked up a little. I was like writing in the margins and stuff like that, and so I'm excited to finish this book and dive back into it. So yep, this is the first one on my list for sure. The next one on my list is one that I've been saying I wanted to read since it republished in 2018, and that is going to be Lies Women Believe by Nancy DeMoss Wolgemuth. I have already read the teens version and the little girls version of the books and loved it so much. And so I know that the adult version is going to wreck my life, and I'm so excited to dive into this, especially with how my year last year went. I'm ready to just dive in and see what new things I can pick up from the book. So we have this. The next book is one I've had my eye on for such a long time, and there is a Bible study that this author has created that I really want to get as well concerning the same kind of thing. But this is Discerning the Voice of God by Priscilla Shirer, How to Recognize When God is Speaking. And the Bible study she has is The Voice of God, I think it's called. I think that's what it's called. But yeah, I've had this for a minute now, and I really want to dive into it. I enjoy Priscilla Shirer. I love her ministry. I love her teachings. I enjoy her zeal for the word of God and for sharing the gospel. And yeah, I fell in love with her after watching not Fervent, the War Room movie, and then she wrote the book Fervent that I fell in love with. So yeah, I just want to dive into this. And so it says, let's see. Become acquainted with the voice that has spoken from a fire and a cloud, with visible signs and an invisible spirit. Now with chapter challenges that help you hear his voice more clearly in your life. So wherever you are in your spiritual walk, God will find a way to speak to you in a way you understand. So it's all about just hearing the voice of God and knowing that it's his voice. Which again, I did mention in a previous video that this is something I'm working on, because I have this tendency of hearing his voice, but then doubting that I heard his voice. And so I'm excited to dive into this. And this is the revised expanded edition with new study questions. So yeah, once I do this, I will then go and order the what you call that thing, the Bible study. So yeah, we have that. Next book we have is Woman Evolve by Sarah Jakes Roberts. Break up with your fears and revolutionize your life. And so honestly, the cover is giving me life. That the cover alone is what's giving me life. I have been wanting to read a book from Sarah Jakes for a long time. I do own another book by her. I own Don't Settle for Safe, I think it is, the ebook version of that, and then I have a physical copy of Colliding with Destiny, which is all about Ruth, if I'm not mistaken. This one I can't remember. Let me see. Yep, this goes through Eve. So it's a reinterpretation of Eve as found in the book of Genesis. Sarah Jakes Roberts helps us to learn lessons on womanhood and the strength hidden in Eve's story. So yeah, I'm excited to see how she takes that and what she has to offer from this book. So yep, we have this book and I'm super excited to dive in. Was there anything under the dust jacket that I liked? I think there was, or maybe I'm bugging. You know, there wasn't anything under here. Thought there was, but yes, Woman Evolve. If you guys have read this, let me know your thoughts. I'm definitely intrigued by the cover and the title. So yep, next is gonna be Crazy Faith by Pastor Michael Todd. If you guys don't know, he is the pastor of Transformation Church. And yeah, I did watch the Crazy Faith series. I have not finished it, of course, but I did get far enough to really be interested in getting the book, and I think the book is just expanding on that series, kind of like how he did Relationship Goals. I've seen the entire series and I do own the book. I'm actually reading it still. And so yeah, I got the Crazy Faith book and I'm excited to see what more I can gain from this topic that he taught on. Last nonfiction is going to be Get Out of Your Head by Jenny Allen. It's stopping the spiral of toxic thoughts. And I just heard so many people rave about this, and so when I got it, I was like, you know what, why not? And so yeah, we have this, and honestly, because it's interactive, it's going to make it all the more fun. I'm not sure if I'm looking to give this like a 5-star rating, but at least a 4. But yeah, I'm excited to see what this offers, and I do still find myself sometimes going through specific thoughts that are not the best. And so even here you have like questions down here and stuff like that. So I'm excited to dive into this, and honestly, I love this book without the dust jacket. That color is so gorgeous. But yeah, we have those. So those are my 6 nonfiction. Okay, so now moving on to the Christian fiction books. Like I said, there are 8 total, but it's technically more than that because I think I have 3 series on here. And so the first one I have because I really want to read this as an adult, now that I understand more about C.S. Lewis and the whole idea behind the Chronicles of Narnia. And so yeah, pretty much the Chronicles of Narnia. I have the complete bind up from HarperCollins. I actually got this from my local library a few years ago. My local library would have book sales twice a year, in the spring and in the fall, and they would sell hardcover books. I think the hardcovers was like $3, the paperbacks were like 25 cents, but you can get like 5 hardcovers, I think, for like, I think a few bucks, and then like 5 paperbacks for like $3. It was insane. So I was able to luck out and get this. And yeah, like I said, Chronicles of Narnia. This is the entire 7 books, so I'm assuming it is the actual novels and the novellas. This also includes illustrations from the original artist. So there are illustrations at the beginning of each chapter, and I cannot wait to read this and dive into it. And then I also want to rewatch the movie. So yeah, I can't wait. Can't wait. And this is one that I just definitely know that I need to read it because of all of the allegory included within this. And so yep, that's the first book that I definitely want to read within this year. And so since we're in the fantasy genre, because obviously that is a sort of middle grade YA fantasy that's Christian based, I am going to be diving into the other Christian fantasy books that I have. And so we have The Skin Map by Stephen R. Lawhead. I think this is the first book, yes, in the Bright Empires series. So I own the first book. I own book 4, and I think there's another book that I own. I own 3 of these books, but I'm missing 2. And so yeah, I had the first book. I've heard really great things about this from my sis Steph over at Quilting Beauty and Books. She's no longer on YouTube, but she did rave about it, and so I want to dive into this. So it says it is the ultimate quest for the ultimate treasure, chasing a map tattooed on human skin across an omniverse of intersecting realities to unravel the future of the future. that is it. You're looking for a skin map, a literal map that is on the skin. That sounds epic. And I did actually watch an anime that was based off of maps that were like drawn onto people's skins, and so I cannot wait to read this and see what I think and figure out where the faith aspects come in to play. So yeah, we have this. The last fantasy I have is by Patrick W. Carr, and he actually wrote the End of the Magi biblical fiction book that I talked about a while ago. And yeah, I know that he previously was writing Christian fantasy, and so I want to read some of his Christian fantasy. And so I have the Shock of Night, excuse me, by him, and it's the first book in the Darkwater saga. And yeah, it sounds really interesting. It says Darkwater claims all who enter it, all but one. And so there is Willett Dora, who is the reeve to the king of Bernad. He was called to investigate, and as he is questioning a dying priest, the man pulls him close, screams in a foreign tongue, and then dies without a word. But whatever happened has altered Willett in some form, and he has now been giving the rarest gift of all that should not exist. And so he is now pursuing a murderer that's still on the loose, but also being pulled into dangerous conflicts that threatens his city and actually the entire world. So yeah, I'm interested to see where the faith aspects come into play, like I said. Alright, so moving on, I have a series. I only have 2 of the books here. It's actually a trilogy, but I'm saying it's a series because I think there's also 3 novellas that they do have out. So it's 6 books total, and I have already read the first book, but that is going to be the Restoring Heritage trilogy by Miss Tari Faris. The first book being Since You've Been Gone. No, I'm sorry. You Belong to Me is the first book. I read it. I gave this book 5 stars. I love the faith talk. I love the faith aspects. I love the relationships, the community, the second chance romance, and just everything about this gutted me. And so I definitely want to read the rest of the books in the series. And so this is book 1. This is book 3, Since You've Been Gone. Book 2 is Until I Met You. And then I know, like I said, that there are 3 novellas that you can actually buy physical copies of. And so your girl definitely gonna have the entire series here to read, and hopefully vlog the experience, because I really enjoyed the first book. Like, the first book really spoke to me, and it was actually amazing. Like, it was phenomenal, you guys. Phenomenal. But I definitely want to reread it. I do own the second book as an e-book, but I want a physical copy because I feel like I'm going to love the entire series. And so I have the entire trilogy on my list. Even though I technically already read the first book, I'm going to be rereading the first book all the way through to the third, plus the novellas as well. So we have that. Moving on now, I think this is going now to the suspenses, mystery type of genre. And so the first one is House by Frank Peretti and Ted Decker. I gotta read this book because I enjoy Ted Decker. I am loving Frank E. Peretti's writing, and I want to see what they can do together. And honestly, the only thing that got me was the back cover. I'll read it. It says, let's see. Enter House, where you find yourself thrown into a killer's deadly game in which the only way to win is to lose and the only way out is in. The stakes of the game become clear when a tin can is tossed into the house with rules scrawled on it, and the rules that only a madman, or worse, could have written. Rules that make no sense. And so the rules are: first, God came to my house and I killed him. Second, I will kill anyone who comes to my house like I killed God. Third, give me one dead body and I might let rule number 2 slide. You have until dawn. So there is 1 game, 7 players, 3 rules, game ends at dawn. And so yeah, I want to see where the faith aspects come at. I want to see if this is going to be like a psychological type of thing, because Ted Decker is real good for them psychological things, all right? But I also know that Frankie Peretti is really good at doing spiritual warfare stuff. So I'm intrigued to definitely read this book, and I'm gonna try to save it for Halloween. It gives me those kind of like Halloween vibes, but either way, it's gonna get read this year. So we have that. Next, I have If I Run by Terry Blackstock. It's the first book in the If I Run series, and yeah, all I know is that apparently Casey knows the truth, but it won't set her free. She's basically being accused of killing somebody that she really didn't kill, and the only person that kind of can help her is agent. I think he is an agent. Yeah, he's a war-weary veteran that was hired to find Casey as she went on the run. His name is Dylan Roberts, but he also deals with PTSD. So I know that this is going to tackle some really hard-hitting subjects, and I'm excited to see. I've heard a lot of people rave about this. So yeah, I do own the first book and the second book. I think the second book is If I'm Found. or If I Live. Is it If I Live or If I Found? One of the two. I own book 2, and so I definitely want to read this and then continue on with the series. The next one is more of a historical fiction novel, but it does have that mystery suspense going on, and it's called The White City by Grace Hitchcock, and it's a part of the True Colors series. It's a series of sort of historical fiction retellings, I guess, written by many Christian authors. And so I think there's maybe 12 or 13 books in the series so far, but what I love is that every book has a specified color, and you get to see that color on the cover. So unfortunately for this one, even though it says The White City, you get a gold key, but I think this one called like the pink bonnet, and so like everything is grayed out but that pink bonnet. There's another one with green, and so it's insane. And so I definitely want to see if I enjoy this enough to read the rest of them. I actually already own them on ebooks, but this is the only physical one that I own. But yeah, this one, so yeah, it's fiction based on strange but true history. So this one is about the mysterious disappearances that tainted the Chicago World's Fair in 1893. So it follows Winifred Wilde, who believes she witnessed a woman being kidnapped. She tries to convince her father, who's an inspector with the Chicago police, to look into it. But of course he doesn't. He tries to dismiss her claims, and then she tries to figure it out by herself. So yeah, it's basically, will she be able to expose H.H. Holmes' illicit activity, or will Winifred become his next victim? So it's all about H.H. Holmes. So yep, we have that. And then lastly is another sort of like mashup. This author actually has 6 books that I need to read. It's technically 5 because one is being published soon, so I'm saying 6 total. But I have already read one of her books. I think 1 or 2 of her books. Love her writing, and that is going to be Jaime Jo Wright. And so I physically own 2 books of hers. I have The Curse of Misty Wayfair, and then I have The Haunting at Bonaventure Circus. I want to honestly just read all of her books because her writing is astounding, and I love her dual timelining. She does dual timeline so well. Her writing is honestly impeccable to me. I love how you follow 2 different characters that are connected somehow, and so yeah, these 2 books follow the same thing. So yeah, this one is obviously at a circus, and this one I think takes place at an asylum, if I am not mistaken. Yes, at an asylum. And so yeah, I'm excited to just read all of her books, especially her newest one that'll be coming out soon. And so I just have these 2 physically, but I do own a few of her other books through ebook, and so I definitely want to read her books. And so that is it for the Christian fiction books, right? So we're gonna dive now into biblical fiction books, and I think I just have one entire series on here, which is actually going to be first because I definitely want to read it, and that is going to be the Silent Year series by Miss Angela Hunt. Now, I have already read Judah's Wife, and I think I gave it like a 4-star, 4.5 star rating. I can't remember exactly what I rated this, but I enjoyed it enough. I enjoyed the story, and so I definitely want to read the rest of the books. And so the first book is called Egypt's Sister. This one is a story of Cleopatra. The third one, I love this cover so much, but this one is Jerusalem's Queen, and it's a story of Salome Alexandria. And then we have this one, which is King's Shadow, and it's a story of King Herod's court. And so we have that. And so this, as a complete first pick, is what I want to read, because I definitely want to just finish this book series so that I can go on to her next series, because I found out that there's a 4th book coming out for her. I can't remember the name of the series on the screen, but there's a 4th book coming out for that series that I definitely want to read, and I already own the first 3 books, and so I want to read this before I dive into that. But we have that. Then moving on, I have A Voice in the Wind by Miss Francine Rivers. Definitely been wanting to read this book for a really long time. It was even supposed to be a book club pick, and I want to read it. It's a tome, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's over 500 pages. Definitely over 500 pages. And so, yeah, I want to read this. I actually want to read the entire trilogy of Mark of the Lion. I know the second one is, what is it called? Echo in the Darkness. And then the third one is Sure as the Dawn. And so I definitely want to dive into the first book first, for sure. But if I could, I want to do the entire trilogy this year. But we have the first book for sure. And this one, it says, torn by her love for a handsome aristocrat, a young slave girl clings to her faith in the living God for deliverance from the forces of the decadent Rome. So we have that, and of course this has discussion questions and stuff like that in it, so we'll see how I feel about answering those, but I'm excited to dive into this. Of course, following along with the whole Francine Rivers, I do also want to read A Lineage of Grace, which is actually her 5-novella bind-up with study questions in it. And so this one is on Tamar, Rahab, Ruth, Bathsheba, and Mary. And so, yeah. Each of the stories include a 6-part Bible study. I have already read her previous book on the guys. Cannot remember the name of it, but I definitely want to read this one. I'm trying to see if they have it in here. Nope. But we have that, and yeah, I'm ready to dive into this book and see how she wrote each of the characters and what I can glean from their stories. Moving on to, I think, the fourth option. Yeah, fourth one. We have Fallen. This is by Melinda Bergiver Inman. I hope I'm saying that right, but this is a biblical story of good and evil, and this is basically a story of Adam and Eve, as well as, I believe, Lucifer. Yep. And so it says, love takes action. The creator God establishes the cosmos and shapes a man. Adam rises from the dust. Envious, the powerful angel Lucifer despises him. And then Adam is then captivated by his strong and intuitive wife Eve. So in the Garden of Eden, that they enjoy abundant food, gorgeous vistas, and challenges. But then obviously, you know, Satan comes and do what he do. And so yeah, it's all about the forbidden apple, the forbidden fruit, as we call it. So yeah, I'm excited to see where this goes. And see if I can get into her writing. I've never heard of this author, and so I want to see for myself if I can get into her books. This is marked as Christian historical, but I'm gonna say that this is actually biblical. So, oh, in the back there is a study guide with lots of scriptures. Oh, so many scriptures, you guys. So many references, is insane. So we have that. Then moving on to the fifth option. Fifth option. We have Sisters of Lazarus, Beauty Unveiled by Paula Kate Parker. And obviously this is about Martha and Mary, the two sisters of Lazarus. And I think this is, this takes place during the time when Martha would complain about Mary sitting at the feet of Jesus, and then Jesus told her that Mary had picked or chosen the best part, which was sitting at his feet. And so I'm excited to see how this takes play. And this is signed. Trying to find it. There we go. Signed copy from the author. And so we have this book. And then number 6, I have the Genesis trilogy, The Heavens Before, by Casey Barnett Grimkow. I think I'm saying that right. But yeah, this one is going to be following Shem, who was the son of Noah, and the whole Noah's Ark thing. And so I'm excited to see how this takes place. Does this place take place on the Ark? Yep, takes place on the Ark and after the Ark and stuff like that. And so yeah, her name is Anna. I think I don't know if it's Anna or Anna. But yeah, it says chaos will erupt as the fountains of the earth open. Only 8 humans will emerge alive. And so I'm interested to see what this is all about. 7, I want to read Sarah by Merrick Halter. This is actually the first book in his Canaan trilogy. The third book, was this the third or the second? It doesn't even say which book this was. But I did read whatever book this is, either 1 or 2. This is either 3 or 2. I read Zipporah by him and really enjoyed this book. I talked about it before, and so I definitely want to obviously read Sarah, which is all about Sarah, the wife of Abraham. And so yeah, you get her story, a dazzling new novel about one of the great women of the Old Testament, written by internationally best-selling author Merrick Halter. So yep. So this follows them when they were just Sarai and Abram, and then them becoming Sarah and Abraham. So we have the last book I have is Journey to the Well by Diana Wallace Taylor, which follows the story of the woman at the well when Jesus spoke to her. So yeah, it says broken promises marked her life. Would one meeting change it all? And I'm excited to see what this is about. I've been wanting to read it since I think last year or the year before, and so now that I have time to actually dedicate and really sit to get back into reading, we are going to go with this book as my final option. And so that is all of the books that I want to read. Definitely more than 22 books because I kind of finessed it by adding in series. But it's all good. It's all good. I'm excited to dive into these. So let me know what you guys are going to be reading for the year. If you have any set books that you already have that you want to read throughout the year, definitely let me know. If you've read any of these, let me know. If you have any comments or questions or concerns, let me know that as well. But thank you guys for watching this video. Thumbs up and share this video with anyone that you may know who's interested in any biblical or Christian fiction books. And also, if you made it to the end of this video, use this emoji so I know that you watched the entire video. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.